Letter of disclosure. 4 years ago I had an incomparable experience. I met a person whom I have come to regard as a modern-day Messiah. I know this seems like an outlandish claim, but if you knew me, you'd know that I'm not prone to make claims of this sort. Unfortunately, I have no choice but to ask your indulgence and, perhaps, just a bit of your trust. My name is Sarah D. Rosnay, and the person I refer to is a young man living in New York City, who in every sense of the word, is living an ordinary life in which no one suspects the depth of his mission. Even family members are unaware of what he is here to accomplish. For reasons that aren't completely clear to me, I've been selected by this individual to be the equivalent of an apprentice or disciple. Have you ever thought what a modern-day Messiah would do if he or she rejoined the human race in contemporary time? Let's assume that a Messiah in this definition transcends the title of a spiritual teacher, and instead fulfills the role of activating generations of new thinkers to break from the bondage of centuries-held beliefs that no longer serve humanity. What if such a person stepped forward in this century at its very dawning, to announce a restructuring of our present-day belief systems? How would they proceed differently, from Jesus for example? Perhaps healing wouldn't play such a central role in their mission. Perhaps fulfilling a prophecy wouldn't matter. Perhaps visibility and a public persona would be unnecessary or even a hindrance. Perhaps personal sacrifice would be avoided. Perhaps a modern-day Messiah would employ the latest technologies in the service of their mission. If you were like me, you'd ask the same two questions. Why would a modern-day Messiah choose obscurity to spread his or her message? And why would a Messiah or spiritual avatar create a disc-like first source, that is crafted like a fictional story, instead of writing the definitive spiritual text? In answer to the first question, this person, whom I will refer to as James from this point forward, is not interested in starting a new religion, and is even less interested in becoming affiliated with an existing religion. He is completely focused on developing the content of the first source discs, and desires to remain an unidentified personality so this objective can be achieved. In answer to the second question, James has created a mythology in order to bring forth an immersive experience that a broader audience can relate to, particularly select people within the next 3 generations. While I have no doubt that James has already written the definitive spiritual text, he is well aware that more will be required in order to appeal to the new generations for which he has come to serve. Part of this realization has taken form in the music and art, part in the storytelling itself, and part is yet to come. This dispensation is unfolding like no other teaching before it, and its purpose is to activate new thought leaders in the fields of cosmology, art and metaphysics. James produced all of the content you will find on this disc, and those discs that will be released in the future. It is a story conceived of and written by this teacher to transmit a new mythology to our culture. Its purpose is to activate a higher order consciousness, and help this consciousness establish a stronger connection to first source in the face of the oncoming pressures of a crowded and increasingly restricted social order. I have been asked by James to introduce him, and the facts behind the mythology of the Wingmakers. It's important to understand that virtually every element of this story is based in reality. However, the story, in its totality, is not real. What is real is that a teacher has come to this planet at this time to transmit a multi-dimensional, multimedia story that will act as a catalyst. The story activates insights that are subtle and powerful at the same time. If you're stirred, if you resonate with this information, you will know it as I know it. You will sense the beautiful structure of this story and receive it into your heart and mind, and you will allow it to grow and shift your consciousness to a new point of integration. I have had the rarest of opportunities to be the one disciple of James who is witness to his mission. I have seen how he works behind the scenes, and I have seen how he has devoted all of his energy to his mission with a quiet certainty of its ultimate purpose. When I first met James, there was little doubt in my mind that he was destined for something extraordinary. At the time of our initial meeting, I worked in the art world, and an acquaintance told me about a friend who painted unusual pictures of the spiritual realm, and how these paintings quite literally drew him out of his body when he had looked at them. Intrigued, I arranged a meeting through my acquaintance, and was shown works that could only be described as otherworldly and vividly original in their visual language. These were paintings that seemed to connect to a new strata of the universal consciousness, and they were produced with such mastery that I immediately fell in love with them. When I spoke with him about his background as an artist, he assured me that he was not an artist, but instead a mythmaker. I told him that he had a great future in the arts, and that I'd help him break into the art world as his representative, but he eloquently declined my offer. I went away from the meeting frustrated because I feared that I'd never see this man again, and that he'd waste his considerable talent to myth-making, whatever that was. A week went by and I couldn't get him or his paintings out of mind, so I called, and arranged another meeting. I had had some strange dreams the night before we were to meet, the kind of dreams that stick in your mind, but remain elusive just the same. All I know is that I met him with a different sense of who he was. Something clicked inside me. I was no longer meeting him to convince him to let me represent his paintings to my clients. There was something else I was supposed to help him with. It was during this second meeting that he disclosed his vision for his work that he called First Source. He did so without fanfare, and the whole event had a liberal sense of déjà vu. He never mentioned anything about himself being a spiritual teacher, let alone a messiah for the next 3 generations of humankind. He simply invited me to read some of his myth-making and to do so in complete confidentiality because he was showing works that no one else had ever read or seen. Without going into any detail, I had a modest background in some of the esoteric teachings. I had read books by Alice Bailey, Ramtha and many other so-called ascended masters, but these writings were different, or at least they touched me differently. As I began to see how the art, poetry, music, philosophy and story were all integrated, I began to understand how he was engineering all of this material into a complex, multi-leveled mythology. Not once did he refer to himself as anything special, and he certainly never suggested that he was a messiah or master. He simply wanted my help in bringing his work to the marketplace, since I had done the same for many visual artists. Over the ensuing 4 years, I've increasingly been witness to the strange phenomenon that surrounds his work, and at times, I'm struck by the fact that I'm the only one living who at least consciously understands why he is here, and the importance of his mission. James has asserted that he will not be known in this incarnation. He will not have an enduring personality. His real name will not even be known. When people think they have found him, it will be like a mirage. He has carefully constructed his messages in uncertainty, and for me, this was the most vexing element of his mission. I asked him several times to explain why he chose to deliver his teachings in the manner of a myth instead of a declarative, non-fiction text. His response was always the same. When people try to capture truth, truth often slips from their grasp. But when they are drawn into a story, truth can capture them. I'm not sure how to interpret this statement, but I share it with you so you can better understand the context of Wing Makers and its enigmatic creator. While you may disagree with me that James is a modern-day messiah, I believe if you had seen what I have over the past 4 years you would understand my choice of words. I know that the term messiah is reserved for a special breed of spiritual teachers, who are liberators of the people, but I believe that's precisely what he came to do for our next generations. The Wing Makers project is often referred to by James as a commissioned work. I believe with wholehearted confidence that First Source commissioned it. Is it a new religion? No, it is a new mythology, and its creator desired it this way to ensure it would not become a new religion, now or in the distant future. It is meant to be a catalyst for the individual, not a supporting structure for the assembly of the like-minded. Sincerely, Sarah D. Rosnay. December 2000. Letter of Disclosure Copyright 2000 Sarah D. Rosnay, all rights reserved. Reproduction, in whole or in part, is permissible in any medium, provided this notice is included. Letter from James. Dear ones, letter from James, copyright 2000 Wing Makers LLC, all rights reserved. Reproduction, in whole or in part, is permissible in any medium, provided this notice is included. Dear ones, my friend, Sarah D. Rosnay, has introduced me as James. I have read her introduction in her letter of disclosure. I assume you have done the same if you are reading this letter. I am a simple man who lives for a singular mission, and the First Source discs are the fruits of this mission. There will be many stories about this disc, and those that will follow. For reasons I'm certain you understand, my identity will be purposely clouded, and I encourage you to not worry about who I am, who I have been, or what my role is. Despite what Sarah wrote and believes, I am not a messiah. As surprising as it may sound, neither was Jesus, Buddha, Muhammad, or Krishna. It's true that these were great teachers and exemplars of the human race, but they did not incarnate to liberate people, nor construct enduring religions that sheathed their teachings in the scabbard of time. They simply had a clearer connection to First Source, and by their penetrating visions of the universal mind, which anchored them in their personal wisdom. They were leaders because they chose to share this personal wisdom with their fellow men, hoping that in doing so, others would find their way into their own personal wisdom too. I have been here many times before with names you would recognize, but this incarnation is different, and I vow to remain unknown, even fictional. My soul is no different in nature than yours. I have a body, and therefore, I have my frailties, in some ways, just like you. I am not someone to worship, and I am purposely intangible to ensure this will not occur because it will only stand in the way of a mission. The new souls that are incarnating over the next 100 years represent the vital change agents who will be in a position to stipulate that cosmology, art, and metaphysics become the forces that revitalize humanity's role as responsible stewards of Earth. It is an extremely important time in human history, and the first source discs will find their way to select individuals and help anchor them in their personal wisdom. I have created a portal for the consciousness of first source to contact the consciousness of an individual in a manner that has never been done before. This connection will catalyze new forms of energy to flow through the minds of those individuals, enabling them to create the necessary technologies, art forms, and discoveries that bring about the new cosmology of first source. Moreover, the first source discs will impact on all people, even those who will never read, look, or listen, and these will be in the majority, I assure you. These teachings are designed for the entire planet despite the relatively small number who will actively immerse within the story and utilize this portal. I hope you understand and honor my intentional obscurity. I also hope you will understand the format in which this portal was constructed. There is no intention to deceive you or create the impression of a hoax. I merely place the Wing Maker's website into the public domain as a platform for releasing the first source discs. The discs will be the official record of my communication. The website will become more of a communication and update center for the discs. The Wing Maker's website created controversy and debate, and many have delighted in debunking its authenticity. Those who debate whether it is true or not true have diminished their side of the truth that is woven into its structure. It is my hope that the first source discs will reunite them with the purpose of this project and calm the debate. The disc is a tool, and like all tools, its value is directly related to how it is deployed or utilized in one's life. If you study this tool, it will supply you with a detailed instruction manual for its proper utilization. It is multi-layered and metaphorically structured in parallel with the universe, and new aspects of this disc may be activated in the future. While my personality will always seem intangible, know that I am in this disc more vividly than any teacher that has come before to your planet. It is my nature to live in the universal mystery and personal clarity of myself. When you are in accord, you will find me with you. James. December 2000. Web archive.